When fans take a moment to reflect on Jurgen Klopp's 489-game reign of Liverpool, many will think of the return of the feel-good factor, or the success in the form of a Premier League title in 2019-20, and the Champions League the season prior. The change in Anfield's net color, however, doesn't spring to mind, though it was a decision that may have helped the Reds, who were something of a sleeping giant pre-Klopp, conquer the beautiful game in all forms in the late 2010s. As the German tactician is widely regarded as one of the best managers in Premier League history, why then did he ask for Liverpool's nets to be painted white? Inside, Klopp's decision to change nets from red to white. Upon the opening of the new main stand at Anfield, supporters were proud as punch to see that Liverpool's higher-ups, owners Farmway Sports Group, in particular, were taking care of the place. They have called home since as early as 1892, a 4-1 victory over Leicester City had the home contingent bouncing, but a select few were more observant on the day, noticing that the netting on the goals were white in color rather than red, which had been the case since August 2012, the Thursday before their clash with the Foxes. Red nets were in place as the first team held a training session at Anfield, but by the weekend, it was all changed in terms of the net color at both ends of one of the best stadiums in Premier League history. Following his side's open workout, Stuttgart-born Klopp and his entourage opted to revert the color of the nets from red to white. But why was that? The 57-year-old, commonly considered to be one of the best managers in football history thanks to his endearing personality, believed that the change would make the goals more visible in the players' peripheral vision, by virtue of many inside the 61,176-seater wearing red shirts. Using white nets was expected to be more striking to the eye while in the thick of the action. He, of course, hoped that it would lead to more goals being scored by the home side. Luis Suarez would go on to score 40 of his 40 to Anfield goals with white nets, while they were in place during the memorable 7-goal thriller against Borussia Dortmund. So it is safe to say that Klopp's change, which was seen as minor at the time, was significant. The reason behind the red nets, now that we know why Klopp got rid of the red nets, let's find out why they were in use in the first place. The 2010s saw a lot of change at Liverpool, and by the time they brought in Klopp, a number of things had changed. Brendan Rodgers had brought attacking football back to Anfield, and in his first full season almost won the Premier League title. He inherited a squad that had finished sixth the season before under his predecessor, Brendan Rodgers, and though it had some world-class talent in it, it wasn't challenging for major honors yet. Klopp, upon arriving from the aforementioned Bundesliga outfit, didn't only inherit Carlisle-born Rodgers' collection of players, but his choice of nets, too. But what was the reasoning behind the now Celtic boss's choice? LFC Museum curator Stephen Dunn, per This Is Anfield, recalled the story of Rodgers' private tour of Anfield. Brendan and his family were given their first glimpse of Anfield the day after he was unveiled as manager as part of a private tour of the stadium. At the end of the tour, we stood on the cup, and Brendan commented that he always remembered the goals at Anfield having red nets. He continued, as a nod to Liverpool's tradition, having used red nets in the 1980s, a period that is ingrained in Rodgers' memory of the Merseysiders. The Northern Irish boss insisted that they return upon his appointment in July 2012. It was a small thing, but Brendan obviously had great memories of the 1980s when the club had great success. With those nets on the goal, Dunn added, Rodgers helped to restore the oldest surviving This Is Anfield sign, a treasured piece of Liverpool folklore, to its place in the tunnel after it was replaced by a shinier version in 1998. But where are the nets now? The club simply didn't bin them, but instead they were gifted to St. Helens Rugby League Club, who won for championships on the bounce between 2019 and 2022, as a means of keeping them on Merseyside, between the west and north stands. The fabled piece of Anfield's long and storied history is hung up in the corner of the totally wicked stadium, a ground that is home to a trophy-laden silverware cabinet. And there's plenty more where that came from, so make sure you subscribe to the channel to keep learning.